From attention to revenue. So we've built this signal-driven model for MSP vendors. Started my MSP in 93, sold it in 2019. I know MSPs really, really well, and I love working with vendors that want to partner with MSPs. So we find here that what vendors are taught doesn't really match reality. You know, meetings, leads, demos, and they want to go right into revenue. But what actually happens is that the time is spent from the MSPs evaluating, exploring. Vendors do have a great job with their products, with their services, but oftentimes they fail connecting to the MSPs because they don't understand how they buy. So the MSPs don't buy linearly, right? They explore, they disappear, they re-engage later. Just because they're delayed does not mean they're disinterested. It's just part of their process. So what we have here is that we have the stages here, attention. And right when the vendor gets the attention of the MSP in any way, they go right to revenue. And really when the most important things happen in the middle, right? The unmeasured, it's ignored, the interest. So these are signals. These are invisible signals that are there from the MSP. So we show our vendors that we work with to measure outcomes first and start with the signals and make sure you measure them properly. So we have 3 signals in our stage here. We have visibility, which is just showing familiarity. Then we have engagement, where the MSP is just curious. They're just engaging. They're just curious at that time. And then, of course, declared interest. They've shown intent. Now they have interest. This is pure momentum, not a funnel. So what happens oftentimes is that a vendor does get the MSP's attention, and then they start harping on them, following them up with emails or phone calls, and the trust, it breaks quietly, long before the deal is done. And this is what happens because they go into this time and they go and they do and they evaluate. So our 3 levels that we have of signals for the MSPs, level 0 is visibility. This is pure readiness. It's not opportunity. It's showing the MSP, the vendor's logo, or maybe they may already know the vendor's logo, but maybe it's their MSP program specifically. But they're not going to engage with somebody unless they know who they are, unless they don't recognize them. Then the second level, which we call level 1, is what's engagement. So the MSP now starts to engage. Again, this is just curiosity. They're looking into what the vendor is offering. They're just curious. They're not committed. This is what we call the engagement level or engagement signal. And then lastly is now they've declared interest, right? They've actually opted in. It's higher intent. Once they're ready, they really declare their interest. And it can't be observed. It can't be forced. But it's all up to the buyer, which is the MSP. So we make our guarantees very, very clear. Market visibility, engagement activity, capturing these signals, reporting on everything. We guarantee momentum. We've been doing it for a long time. We don't guarantee the outcomes. So the ownership is very clear. What we own all the market access, our MSP influencer, the podcast. We have all the attention systems to get in front of the MSPs. The vendor owns everything else. The momentum is collaborative, right? It's by all parties, but the results are completely MSP buyer driven. So once the momentum's there, it compounds when it's respected. I constantly get asked, I got the attention of the MSP. What do I do? Be consistent. Be consistent. Don't pitch. Be educational. Act like a resource, not a vendor who's there to sell them stuff. Be consistent. Be an educational resource. We only work with vendors. Sometimes I get these vendors who are like, hey, I want 10 meetings in a week. Obviously that doesn't work for us. We think in quarters, respect the MSP's buying. I still say we. I still consider myself an MSP, even though I sold it back in 2019. But when it's dealing with a vendor, fit matters much more than speed. Now that the model is clear, the packaging becomes obvious. We have the full signal model, all three levels. The packaging is next. So we have level 0. Again, this is visibility, branding, and then we have level 1 and level 2, which is engaged signals, and then declared interest. So in our level 0, again, it's the foundational layer, for the MSP market. It starts at $500 a month with an annual commitment. Again, visibility builds readiness. And then visibility feeds, and it's required right into the engagement signal. In the engagement signal, we have level 1 and level 2 combined. Within level 1, we can create 125 or 500 engagement signals a month. Whenever there's declared interest, it's reported in real time. But again, this is delivered to the vendor to support a disciplined follow-up, not sales pressure. Big difference. And the typical vendor investments between $2,000 and $7,500 a month, depending on the signal level.